A lot of people are seeing sylphs these days. This started happening a lot a couple of years ago. Before that, they were rarely seen. In fact, they probably weren't seen much at all after commercial radio was introduced in the early 1900s. Apparently, the deadly orgone produced by these powerful radio transmissions were uncomfortable to them, so they took off. There was a photographer in the 1930s who traveled to a remote coast of Maine, a very remote spot on the coast of Maine, and made a lot of black and white photos of sylphs. He didn't call them that, but his photos were like those photos of Yosemite from that guy. I forgot his name, but here's this photo. This was taken in the Bahamas in 1990 on the Grand Bahama Bank, right where that big vortex is that Carol and I gifted and other people gifted, east of Bimini, west of Nassau. The people who took the photo were becalmed in a big sailboat, and this hung out over them for an hour or so. They got a whole lot of photographs. You see it? Okay. It was very unusual in those days. But now we're seeing them every day around here. And you can see them in the boat photos from our trip on Lake Ponderay. That as we moved up the lake, the sylphs got more and more distinct and intense, and the sky got deeper and deeper blue. And that was the result of our gifting. Okay, I'm going to say something about the operators. This is a term that Don Bradley came up with as a joke back in 2001, because we're obviously being guided in this work. Anybody who does this work is being guided. And we don't like to use the word God or Holy Spirit connected with anything else because it sends the wrong signal. So we like the word the operators. The operators are standing by to take your call, that sort of thing. It's funny, but it's accurate. We don't know who they are. They're a lot of unseen entities. Could be your dead grandparents, Lemurians, Atlanteans, off-worlders, even insect species, who knows. But whoever they are, they're benevolent. They work together, and they're trying to bring us up out of the mud at this point where mankind is about to attain maturity. So it's very timely. Another term that Bradley came up with was gifting. And gifting is what New Agers say when they give somebody something. They don't say, well, I'm going to give you this. They say, I'm going to gift you with this. I think it's kind of silly personally, but you know, it's inoffensive and it's caught on, but it means drop an orgonite in the environment. Specifically, when a person wants to start improving the atmosphere and the climate where he lives, he goes out and disables the death towers with orgonite. We call them tower busters. And one tower buster, 3 ounce minimum, is made up of metal waste and fiberglass resin with a small crystal in it. It can be a crystal chip or any sort of crystal, doesn't matter. And that's enough to turn a death tower into a life force generator. And energy sensitives can feel the energy, psychics can see the energy. And if you're that way, you'll see a dark line around the tower about 3 feet out, an outline. That's the transition point or margin where the bad energy from the tower turns into healthy orgone. So a guy in Ireland figured out that, or at least where he lives, they've been turning off the towers where he gifts because they don't want to keep pumping out that healthy orgone. It's a weapon after all. So they're very disappointed when you gift them. And it's mind-boggling to them because they can't really understand why something like this will have that effect. I think they're unable to accept it intellectually, which is good for us. Speaking of opposition, the most horrific thing we've had to deal with has been infiltration and sabotage. And 5 years ago, I opted to make a forum that was by invitation only because all of my time before that in these open membership forums was taken up with countering the attacks of slanderers who would, distract everybody from the work, and the only way to get rid of that problem is to only allow people into a forum who are focused on the work. And if you look at ethericwarriors.com, you can see that most people don't believe the way I do. And why should they? But we all have in common something that's more important, and that's the healing effects of orgonite and how we can develop more ways to generate these effects. So the people that detract from us are the ones that I haven't invited. And they set up entire websites to slander some of us, especially me. And I think they go after me because I do most of the talking, that's all. They go after my wife in more subtle ways. We started gifting in May 2002, focusing on that. Before that, it was mostly about the cloudbusters. But after the feds blew up the World Trade Center, these towers popped up all over the world suddenly, by the millions. And the cloudbusters started having less effect after these towers showed up. That's kind of disturbing. So by May, we had figured out that orgonite disables these new towers. And when I posted instructions on how to make simple devices to disable the local towers, I was kicked off the forum I was administering at the time, Yahoo Cloudbusters forum. And after I was kicked off, they also shut down my commercial website, worldwithoutparasites.org, so I couldn't get to it. And they erased all of my business email from my Earthlink mailbox. Pretty bad situation. But within a week or so, I had it sorted out. Somebody offered to feature me in another forum, and this was one of the setups that I mentioned before for sabotage. But I eventually made my own forum. But it's not about that. We developed a 3-ounce tower buster as the minimal device to disable a tower, and Carol and I came up with that from experimenting. And in the following August, I spent the entire month on the road in South Idaho, disabling all the towers in successive towns and watching the effects. And they were consistent. Every time I finished a town, the chemtrails didn't stick in the sky anymore. Generally, a rainstorm was generated right over the town, and it rained pretty hard. And there wasn't another cloudbuster within 200 miles. I didn't have a cloudbuster with me. So it was a good test bed. Now they're all scattered all over southern Idaho. But that's how I tested it, and then I started promoting that. And lots of people started doing it on their own and getting their confirmations. And this is the power of this revolution, this movement, is that anybody can do it, and anybody can empower himself. The more one feels he has to rely on a personality to get something done, the less effective he's going to be, because he's not paying attention to his inner promptings. That's where we get our guidance from the operators. It's through our own hearts, not from other people. So the only reason I keep etheric warriors, well, there's 2 reasons, is so that there can be some practical standards to demonstrate, and so that there's a public record of what we've been doing. In the case of Los Angeles, there was a concerted effort to erase DB from public awareness. And the fact that he got rid of all the smog was never mentioned. And other people started to take credit for it, and I struggled against that. And I think we blew him out of the water, so. And in the future, he'll get the credit for it. Other cities where all the smog disappeared, like Toronto, people noticed. But for some reason in Los Angeles, they're not noticing. But if you watch all the films that were made since 2002, you're going to see a very rapid clearing that took place in late 2002, and it's gotten clearer and clearer. And a lot of the films are showing sylphs over Los Angeles now. And like I said, when you see sylphs, that means that the war's over for the bad guys in terms of poisoning the atmosphere. They can't do it anymore. It's all done.